They say that this world's got some weird and wonderful creatures, and reptiles are most definitely one of them. These scaly survivors have been slithering, crawling, and basking since the days of the dinosaurs, outlasting empires and ice ages with their cold-blooded tenacity. From deserts to jungles, they are the ultimate survivors, rocking armor-like scales, razor-sharp sensors, and some seriously wild survival tricks. Some look like living fossils, while others like dragons that forgot how to breathe fire. But all of them have something in common. They've outmastered the art of adaptation, whether it's a chameleon blending seamlessly into the foliage, or a crocodile waiting motionless for hours before launching a lightning-fast ambush. These reptiles don't just survive, they thrive. But before we begin, we need to answer the question, what exactly is a reptile? Well, there are many definitions for what a reptile is, but they all fall around cold-blooded, air-breathing vertebrates covered in scales, bony plates, or both, and typically lay eggs. Despite this definition, however, there are exceptions, like the Argentine black and white tangu, who can regulate its body temperature, becoming warm-blooded or endothermic during mating season, or the viviparous lizard, which gives birth to live young as opposed to laying eggs. But in general, this description covers most animals in the reptile class, with majority of them being crocodiles, lizards, snakes, and turtles. With all that being said, let's begin with the first animal on our list, Jimmy, also known as the monitor lizard, or more specifically, the Asian water monitor. But for today, we'll focus on the monitor lizard species as a whole. Monitor lizards are native to Africa, Asia, and Oceania, and are easily identified by their long necks, tough leather-like scales, powerful large tails and claws, and well-developed limbs. They love warm spots in jungles, savannas, or riverbanks where they can soak up the sun or hunt for a meal. Monitor lizards are primarily carnivores, meaning that they eat a meat-only diet, feeding on many creatures like fish, birds, frogs, insects, eggs, and even small mammals. However, there are species like the Gray's monitor who live in the Philippines, which are omnivores, whose diets include fruits as well. With that being said, a little known fact of the monitor lizard is that they are actually venomous, with venom being secreted from their lower jaw. On top of that, due to the prey that they eat, their teeth are teeming with bacteria that can cause infections on the bite wound, though usually the cause of death would be from the venom. A side note though, this venom has a relatively mild effect on humans, or in other words, not exactly fatal. Now, we can't talk about monitor lizards without talking about the mother of all lizards, the Komodo dragon. These lizards are endemic to only a few Indonesian islands, with their largest population living within Komodo National Park. Komodo dragons aren't just the largest species of monitor lizard, but the largest lizard in general, with males growing up to a maximum length of 3 meters and weighing up to 150 kilograms. As a result of their size, they are apex predators, dominating the ecosystem which they thrive in. As compared to the average monitor lizard, these predators have been known to take down anything from small rodents up to large water buffaloes. And yes, if one does bite a human, it can be fatal. Though there are few recorded bites and even fewer recorded deaths. All in all, the monitor lizard is an incredibly extensive group of lizards. From ruling islands to stalking rivers, Jimmy and his gang are definitely lizards you don't want to mess with, though I would 100% keep one as a pet if I could. Next up on our list, we have one of the most iconic snakes of all time, the rattlesnake. Rattlesnakes are predators mostly found in the Americas, from southern Canada to central Argentina, and they live in a wide variety of habitats, from dusty deserts to the grassy plains. They get their name from their signature rattle, located at the end of their tail, which makes a loud rattling noise when vibrated. This is commonly used when they feel threatened or to deter predators, of which there are few, namely hawks, weasels, and unironically another snake, the king snake, among other animals too. The largest of their species would be the eastern diamondback rattlesnake, with one specimen shot in 1946, measuring 2.4 meters and 15.4 kilograms. They get their name from the diamond-shaped botches outlined with a row of cream or yellowish scales. The odd thing about this snake though is that the males are typically larger than the females, which for snakes, the opposite is normally true. Rattlesnakes generally eat rodents, birds, and other small animals. They tend to lie in wait for their prey or hunt them near burrows or paths. As rattlesnakes are pit vipers, they have heat-sensing pits located on their head, which allows them to, in some sense, see infrared radiation emitted by warm-blooded animals even in the dark, enabling them to hunt effectively regardless the time of day, though they do prefer to hunt at dusk and during night to avoid the heat. Now the reproduction of the rattlesnake is kinda interesting. Just like what I mentioned in the reptile definition, rattlesnakes are one of the reptiles who break the typical defined norm, as instead of laying eggs, they give birth to live young. These snakes usually take several years to mature after birth, and females usually reproduce roughly once every 3 years. So I'm sure, to absolutely no one's surprise, rattlesnakes are venomous, and if a human is bitten, it will usually damage tissue and affect the circulatory system by destroying skin tissues and blood cells, causing the person to hemorrhage internally. With that being said though, while bites aren't as uncommon as one might think, if antivenom is given within 2 hours of the bite, the probability of recovery is usually greater than 99%, with deaths usually occurring between 6 to 48 hours after the bite. Usually, these snakes do not attack unprovoked, and their rattle further proves this point, with them attempting to take a defensive stance, vibrating their rattles before striking. And in the event that they do bite, the venom injected is voluntarily controlled by the snake, which typically, especially in self-defense, the amount injected isn't a high volume, with about 20% of bites resulting in no envenomation at all. In the end, these snakes are like nature's snipers, often blending in with the bushes or rocks and waiting for their next prey. From the Grand Canyon to a random backyard, rattlesnakes are the ultimate don't mess with me reptiles, vibing to the sound that's been scaring off trouble for ages. Alright, next up, we have the grumpy grandpa of reptiles, the alligator snapping turtle. With a carapace or shell of about 80 centimeters and a weight of about 80 kilograms, these turtles are the largest in the freshwater turtle family and can usually be found in, yup, a real surprise, freshwater and periodically in brackish water habitats in southeastern United States, typically residing in rivers, lakes, and swamps. This prehistoric-looking beast has distinct ridges on its shell which resemble an alligator, giving it its name, as well as a beak-like mouth which can crush anything that comes into contact with it. The way the alligator snapping turtle hunts for its prey is unique in a sense as well, that instead of foraging or outright hunting, they choose to do the animal kingdom's version of fishing. The turtle's mouth is usually camouflaged, and at the tip of its tongue, it possesses a worm-shaped appendage, which lure fishes in, allowing it to strike an easy meal once the fish swims too close. Apart from fish though, they are opportunistic hunters, so they do also munch on frogs, snakes, insects, small birds, and unironically, sometimes even small alligators. On a side note, these turtles, though not having any known cases of killing humans, are dangerous for their extremely powerful bite. These species in particular have been reported to bite through the handle of a broom, and in rare cases, even human fingers. That being said, however, the power of their bite force is heavily dependent on their size. Another fun fact is that these turtles could potentially live up to 200 years old, though on average, around 80 years old is more likely. All in all, the alligator snapping turtle proves that you don't need to be fast or flashy to dominate. Sometimes, you just need to sit there and wait, and dinner will come right to you. Last but not least, we have the heavyweights of the reptile crew, ancient, armored, and built like living fossils. We are of course talking about the crocodile. We have already covered the gharial on this channel, which is like the crocodile's cousin. And while all crocodilians look very similar, they are all different in one way or another. And for the record, though there is croc in the word, crocodilians basically refer to any animal that looks like a crocodile, so namely crocodiles themselves, alligators, gharials, and caiman. Firstly, crocodiles have a narrower V-shaped snout as compared to the alligator's U-shaped snout, and the gharial taking the V and turning it into an I. Another unique trait of the crocodile is that they can thrive in saltwater as well, with a species literally called the saltwater crocodile. And another fun fact for y'all is that a saltwater crocodile isn't just the largest crocodile or even crocodilian, but the largest reptile in general. Back to the point though, this trait of surviving in salt water is unique only to crocodiles, with alligators preferring fresh water, though to some degree they can tolerate salt water, and gharials sticking to rivers. Now this may be a generalization, but compared to other crocodilians, crocodiles are known to be the most aggressive towards humans, with the aforementioned saltwater crocodile as well as the Nile crocodile having a history of unprovoked attacks. The saltwater crocodile in particular has had a long history of said attacks, and because of its sheer size, power and speed, the likelihood of surviving an attack is almost impossible. It's hard to give an estimate on how many people get attacked every year, as well as the survival rate, but there are unconfirmed reports of the Nile crocodile potentially killing hundreds of people each year, which is greater than all crocodiles combined. However, these numbers are just speculation. All that being said, crocodiles usually only attack people who venture into their territory, so stay clear of it and you'll be just fine. On a more light-hearted note, crocodiles generally feed on basically anything that's available to them. Because of that, there is really no limit to what they can eat, but typically it includes any reasonably sized mammal. That means no fully grown elephants or rhinos, any amphibian, frog or otherwise, any reptile, snake, lizard or otherwise, and somehow, even sharks. In the wild, crocodiles can live for an average of 70 to 100 years, but theoretically, should their living conditions and environment be optimal, they do have the potential to live even longer than that, with the oldest crocodile to date being Henry, the Nile crocodile, who is believed to be 124 years old. With all that being said, from Egypt's ancient Nile to Florida's Everglades, crocodiles are nature's ultimate survivors, ruling their watery kingdom with a toothy grin. They say that the world is full of wonders, and reptiles are proof that nature's got a wild imagination. From Jimmy the legendary monitor lizard to the ancient crocodiles, these scaly legends prove that reptiles don't just survive in our world, but truly, they thrive and dominate in it. And whether it be the swamps or the grasslands, reptiles remind us of how wonderful yet dangerous nature can be. With all that being said, reptiles are unequivocally my favorite group of animals. So if y'all enjoyed the video, let me know what other animals you want me to talk about next. And on that note, thank you for watching.